Hey everyone, Dale here, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new, I work as an automotive consultant here in the UK and I help manufacturers decide what specification they should put into their vehicles, from standard to options to colours and special editions. And this is an exercise that I would do with a manufacturer, albeit in a slightly different format, but we're going to do it here today, and I'm effectively going to say whether the specifications are worth it. So what Volkswagen charge you to jump up in specification, whether it's actually worth the money that they ask for. So we'll run through. It's going to be the Volkswagen Polo. They have 5 specifications to pick from, which I'm going to run through now. I'm just going to quickly record my screen. Got my trusty little Microsoft Surface Pen, and I'm going to write on the screen and you'll see exactly what I'm assigning value to and why. So we've got the Polo'Match to start with. You need to effectively decide whether you want to jump into a Volkswagen Polo to start with, and if you want to spend, in this case, £17,125 to get into the brand. It comes with, we'll just quickly run through the standard specification before we move on to the other specification and I start to price it, but it comes with CarNet App Connect, leather trimmed multifunction steering wheel, height and reach adjustable, parking sensors front and rear, alloy wheels 15-inch diamond turned, multifunction colour display, upholstery, Millie cloth, front fog lights with static cornering function, and rear tinted glass from the B-pillar backwards. So what we're going to do is jump down to the next specification, which is the Polo United, and this one costs £17,350. So on the right hand side there you can see there's a £225 difference, and that's just me highlighting the difference between a Match and a United. They describe it as a compact car with bags of personality, agile enough to move through the town, with ease and space to fit plenty in. It's your ideal car for the city. But does it have the specification? That is the question. So alloy wheels, I'll try and keep both specifications in screen actually if I can. So the United gets alloy wheels again, 15-inch. So from my perspective I wouldn't add any value because every single model in the Polo range gets alloy wheels. So just because they're a different style doesn't mean that they get any additional value. Whether you want to do that and pay any more money because there's a different set of alloy wheels on it is entirely up to you. But from my perspective, when I'm pricing this vehicle for a manufacturer, I wouldn't add any value to it. So alloy wheels would unfortunately get a 0. Cruise control and speed limiter, absolutely, yes, that gets a value added to it. Nice convenience option there. Personally, I use a speed limiter on my car quite often, but for this particular vehicle, I would add on £100. So what we're saying is, if you bought this vehicle today and you sold it in 3 years' time, what do I anticipate you would pay, or what money would you get back for those specific pieces of standard equipment? Even though they're sort of individual items, if they were collectively put into a vehicle, what would you pay extra for it? Next piece of standard equipment: heated front seats, heated windscreen washer jets, and low washer fluid warning light. So you wouldn't get any additional money for the washer fluid warning light or the heated windscreen washer jets, but the heated front seats you absolutely would get additional value for that, and you'd be looking at around £200 is the way I would price it. Discover media navigation including streaming and internet. There is no inch size on this, so I don't know the size of the navigation, whether it's full colour, whether it's touchscreen. It just says Discover media navigation, streaming and internet. I'm not going to be streaming as I'm driving, and I'm definitely not going to be on the internet as I'm driving either, and you obviously have your phones to be able to do those sorts of things anyway. So for me that would actually might surprise you a little bit, wouldn't get any additional value to it. Voice activation, quite a temperamental piece of standard equipment or option. Again, I wouldn't give any additional value for voice activation because they're meant to get incrementally better over time, but even the latest and greatest versions in Mercedes S-classes and things like that are still quite temperamental and frustrating. So you wouldn't get anything for that. Carpet mats front and rear, wouldn't add any additional value to that either. So all in all, for this vehicle, if you had them side by side between a Match and a United, in 3 years' time, what is the expected price that I think you could get that vehicle for if you're going to sell it? I think it's £300. So you'd actually make money on this. So Volkswagen charge you £225, and I think there's an additional £300 worth of specification in there. From my perspective, I could be wrong, but from what I can see here and what I've done for historic products, that's what value I would assign to it. So we jump then from the United into the Beats model. Very desirable model, you see a lot of these around, and to jump in to this model you have to pay an extra £505, as you can see on the right hand side there, and they describe it as Polo Beats Special Edition with distinctive style and sound. So just to caveat this one, if I was pricing this for a manufacturer, I would look at the Beats product as an entire sort of entity. I wouldn't individually price these items. So obviously you can read here, it's got like styling packages, it's got sills that have got Beats on them, it's got interior and all this stuff. I'd look at that as an entire Beats package. I wouldn't individually mark them as, and put a price against the various attributes. Like the seats, for example, I wouldn't just put a price in just for the seats. I'd look at it as a package. So I'll just highlight where it says Beats so that we can see what I'm talking about there, and I'll do a price at the end of what I think the Beats package is worth. Start from the top, we've got 16-inch black diamond turned alloy wheels. Again, because the models below that already get alloy wheels, that would not get any additional value. If you want to pay for it, then that's your prerogative. Electric windows front and rear, as well as electrically heated and adjustable door mirrors. So this is a bit of a weird one because it's written as electric windows front and rear on the Beats specification. It implies that the models before it don't get electric windows, but I can almost guarantee that they do. So it's a bit weird why they put electric windows front and rear. They should have really put that into the match specification. So that doesn't get any additional value because it's expected to get electric windows. The electrically heated and adjustable door mirrors absolutely do get additional value added to them, and I would imagine in the future someone would pay about £200 for those pieces of additional equipment. Again, we've got the Beats interior there. And then the last thing, multifunction computer plus, which includes additional driving data and telephone operation. I wouldn't add anything for that. Any additional driving information should be included as standard on previous models if it's just part of the software. So going back to the Beats side of things, if you look at the what it offers, so it's got an 8-channel amplifier, digital sound processor, subwoofer below the luggage. And then at the bottom, Beats interior, front sport seats and door sill protectors with Beats logo. Beats styling, badging on B-pillar and tinted glass from the B-pillar backwards. And then the Beats style decals on the bonnet and roof. So this is a very subjective thing. Whether you like the decals and the sport seats and all that stuff is entirely up to you, and you will pay accordingly. For whether you want those things or you don't want those things. Some people might just quite like the spec that's included in this vehicle anyway, but not necessarily like the sports seats. So it swings and roundabouts. But in this case, I actually think that the Beats specification is really quite desirable. And in 3 years' time, I think that's worth about £400 as a package, as as the entity of Beats. And what that Volkswagen Polo offers with the sound system, with the seats, with the sills, with the colours that might be available, I think it's worth £400 extra in 3 years' time. So obviously we total those two up and it comes to a nice even £600. So again, what I'm saying is if you jump up to a Beats model and you pay £505 for it, I actually think you'd get £600 back in 3 years' time, because of the specification that's included. Now, a dealer might disagree with me and somebody else, but that's what I personally think that you would pay based on what I can see today. So then we jump down from the Polo Beats to the Polo SEL, and you have to pay an additional £845 to jump from a Beats to an SEL model. It's £18,700, and they describe it as the luxury version with everything from 16-inch Lamines alloy wheels on the outside to leather steering wheel and touchscreen navigation on the inside. So, does it actually offer £845 worth of specification? Again, the alloy wheels, every model gets it, so no, doesn't get any additional value, it's just a different style. CarNet Guide and Inform provides online access to traffic conditions, local fuel prices and news feeds. Nope, that doesn't get any additional value either. We can get this information from our phone and also from other various apps like Waze, and Google Maps will tell you traffic conditions and whether the police are there, whether there's been an accident, things like that. Climate control, 2-zone electric air conditioning. Yep, you do get additional value for air conditioning. So in 3 years' time, I think that's worth about £150 for the climate control. Parking sensors front and rear, which is a really odd one because the base match model, if I go up to the top, also gets parking sensors front and rear. So again, that implies that every vehicle after the match, which is technically an upgrade, gets the parking sensors front and rear. So if it does, that means it's a 0. Discover navigation infotainment system with 8-inch colour touchscreen and Volkswagen media control. Very subjective, this one, but from my perspective, I have to look 3 years ahead of time when I'm valuing these vehicles for a manufacturer, and navigation systems, hardware and software based, and how they integrate them into the vehicles. They do look quite dated quite fast. So for me, it wouldn't actually add a massive amount of value just because it's an 8-inch colour touchscreen system. The touchscreen would probably get better in a few years' time. The responsiveness of the screen will get better. The integration of the screen will be better. The features that it offers will be better, potentially. So by the time you get 3 years ahead and you're looking at this version of it, it's actually not that good anymore. So for me, it might surprise you a little bit, but for me, I'm not going to add a lot of value to an 8-inch colour touchscreen because I think they just get replaced really, really quickly and they look really dated quite fast. I mean, my vehicles, it might be considered old now. I mean, I think it's 8 or 9 years old, my vehicle. And at the time, the satellite navigation and the integration were amazing. It looked really nice, but now it looks like I've got into a car from the 80s. So, times are moving quickly in that respect and what they offer. Front fog lights with static cornering function. Again, they've put this in the description, but every single vehicle prior to this gets front fog lights. If I just go up and highlight, they all get front fog lights as standard, even on the base model. So they don't get any additional value for that because every vehicle gets it, and we've already priced the base model to start with and included the fog lights. So that's a 0. Rain sensor and auto dimming interior rear view mirror. Nice convenience option. Again, I assume it's rain sensing wipers, not rain sensing lights. But nice to have. I've got these on my car, and I would add a little bit of value there for the rain sensing wipers. Probably £50 in 3 years' time. So if you take 150, so 150 plus 150 is 300. So that's what I think that car is worth in the future. So I think if you spend £145 to get into the Polo SEL, I actually think you're only going to get back £300 worth of value back in your own pocket, based on the specification that I can see here. And then we finally get to the Polo R-Line, which they've highlighted on the left-hand side here as a new trim. And the jump up from the SEL to the R-Line is £805. It's £19,505. They describe it as the R-Line offers more sporty styling with 16-inch Galvano grey Sebring alloy wheels, carbon flag sport seats and R-Line specific front and rear bumpers. Okay, but does that mean anything in terms of its value? Again, 0 for the alloy wheels because every vehicle before it gets alloy wheels. Composition media infotainment system with 8-inch colour touchscreen and multi-device interface via USB. I think this is the same system that's on the SEL version. They've just added a few more words with multi-device interface. It doesn't say whether that's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I think it's literally you plug in your phone and it provides a link between the two, but I don't actually think it offers Android Auto or Apple CarPlay because I assume they would tell you that because that's quite a nice feature to have. But again, it's going to be, because the model before it got it, it's actually a 0. That's how we would work this out. Manual air conditioning and manually dimmable interior rear view mirror. Generally we wouldn't link those two together, so it's a bit odd that they've done that in terms of their marketing page where they put air conditioning and a mirror in the same description. But because a previous model had climate control, 2-zone air conditioning, and they put manual air conditioning. Now manual air conditioning is worse than climate control. So in that respect, it would get a value added to it, but I don't think it'd be that much different from what came before. So I'd probably add on £100 for that one. R-Line door sills. So again, this goes back to the exercise we did with the Beats model, where we look at the R-Line and any exterior style changes as an entire package and what they offer. So we've got R-Line on the bottom left there and R-Line on the top right. And the left side says door sill protectors and a leather trimmed 3-spoke multifunction steering wheel. And then you've got unique front and rear bumper designer C signature air intakes. So actually, if I was advising Volkswagen, I'd say they need to get rid of how they describe their vehicles, and I would isolate and specifically itemize a leather-trimmed 3-spoke multifunction steering wheel, because that'll be about £100 in 3 years' time. I'd pay £100 extra for something that was leather and multifunction. The R-Line, again, is slightly different because you're looking at it as a packaging exercise and what it offers, and I think an R-Line spec would be around the same as the Beats, so about £400 extra. LED tinted rear light clusters and tinted rear glass from the B pillar backwards. So for the LED rear tinted lights, obviously they're visual design, and they do make the vehicle look really sharp and nice. And for that, I'd probably add on £100 for that. And electrically heated, adjustable and folding door mirrors. So we had the adjustable and heated on prior models, but we never had the folding. So folding definitely adds an additional value. So it'd probably be about £100. I know it sounds like I'm just sort of rattling numbers off here and I don't know what I'm doing, but I've done this for so long that it just sort of comes instinctually to me about how much things are generally worth. So obviously we've got 100, 200, 300, 400, plus another 400 is £800. So I think if you spend £805 to get into an R-Line, you'll get £800 back based on the specification that I can see here. Again, I could be completely wrong, but based on my experience and my understanding of how standard and optional equipment works, that's what I think you would get back. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This is what I do for a full-time job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I actually do work for an independent company, and we provide this sort of information to manufacturers, and it helps them understand the value of their vehicles. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like it, and if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.